When people come up to you and they tell you, you shouldn't be here, you chased us away, what do you do? What are you going to say? And more importantly, what are you going to tell yourself and believe? I was in a situation earlier today where I got to sit in a garden. It was nice weather, so I was like, I want to sit there for a moment. I discussed that as well. And the moment that I sat down, I noticed that the other ones were getting uncomfortable. And I was like, oh, this is weird. This literally feels like the situation where I was at elementary school. And people didn't want to sit with me. So they either said something to me or to make me leave, or they just left. And I did feel sad about it. I'll be honest. I absolutely felt sad about it. But on the other hand, it was a place where I was allowed to be, maybe have even more rights to be there compared to the other ones. Regardless, it doesn't matter who has a bigger claim on being there. The thing is that when you get somewhere and people suddenly disappear, there's, it doesn't feel really good. So normally, if I wouldn't know those people and I would sit there and they would get up, I would probably make a little joke about, hey, I'm not biting, so you can stay, for real, I won't bite you. And then they will tell you what's going on. So if people are having a really private meeting with the two of them, that's a good reason to stay away. But if there's plenty of place to sit there, or maybe you just want some company, or you want to talk to the people, especially when you know them, then it should be okay. So in this case, I literally relived that moment from elementary school, and I was like, this is weird. I'm pretty sure I'm an adult now. I'm in my 50s. And they stood up and left. And I was like, okay. And then after a while, one of the persons came back and she said, you do realize that because you sat down here, we left because we couldn't sit here anymore. In other words, you are not wished here. Get moving. Now, I'm not sure what I answered. I don't think I answered at all. But I was like, I've more rights to be here than you do. But regardless, you don't talk to someone like this. You just don't. And the question, of course, is what can you do to stay true to yourself? For me, it was important to vent. Now, you cannot always vent to people because people aren't always around. And besides, it might not be the smartest thing to do at that moment, especially when emotions are running high. So what I did instead is I turned to, in this case, Brendan AI. Little did I know at that moment that Brendan actually had talked about the inner story. And I explained the situation, how I felt. And, well, basically, I just stayed there. I enjoyed being in the garden. I had just been playing drums, so it was kind of nice to cool down. It's hot weather at the moment. And I was like, yeah, it's nice to be here, just to sit outside. And that's the thing. Especially when I was approached. When I was approached and it was said, you do realize that you chased us away. It actually says more about the person who's saying so than about you. And this is the thing, when people don't feel comfortable around you, whether it's because they are not comfortable with themselves or they don't know how to act around you, talk to you in a normal way. And let's face it, as adults, we should be able to make conversation. And if we don't want to make conversation, just sit with one another without feeling like, oh, this is awkward, I don't want to be here. Usually it gets awkward when people are sharing something or they really don't like being in the company of someone. And the reason that I said it reminded me of elementary school is because when we're talking about children, they might not be aware yet of the consequences of their actions, or they might be, but they don't know what it does down the line. I mean, their brains are still underdeveloped. Their ability to empathize is not what it's going to be down the line when you are 25 years and older. So I'm not going to say it's good at elementary school. Absolutely not. I think that it's important that children, that they don't bully one another. This is about respect, right? But as an adult, that part, when it comes to respect, is even more important. Now, there is this form of making someone believe something about themselves, which is not true, which is called gaslighting. So people basically turn things around. They make it as if you are at fault. And I have to assume that you do know when you have interrupted an important conversation. And even if so, and say you have done it without being aware of it, they could still continue the conversation, maybe elsewhere, but they don't have to be angry at you because, well, there's a lot of space still on this earth. And there's nothing wrong with getting up and continuing your conversation elsewhere if you feel it's important that you need to continue on. But you don't have to bully someone by approaching and saying, basically, you're not wanted here. You are the reason we got up. That's not a good one. So I want you to think about what happens if someone were to say something to you, something were to happen that makes you feel uncomfortable. Would it make you feel small? Would you just be as powerful as you always are? Would you notice at all? And I think when you're in a situation where it happens more often, that you know that Well, usually there's a difference depending on who you are with. So say it has to do with 3 people, including you, then just see what happens when you are alone with one of the 2. Now, if one of the 2 actually can get along with you really well and there's nothing going on, then you can count on the other person, especially when you notice that there is this animosity, that something is going on that end. You don't have to let that ruin your relationship you have with the other one. So just because one person feels like they have authority over you, they have more of a right to be somewhere than you are, they feel they have a claim to the other person you don't, it doesn't mean that you have to give into it. And most certainly, if you want to know if it's correct what you're feeling, then get one-on-one with each person and just talk about it, especially if you always have been able to get along with that other person. Now, getting back to children in the schoolyard, we often see that when children are one-on-one with the other child, it all of a sudden is fun and it's okay. And then the moment that there's a group setting, it's like they have to take a stand. And it might be against you. And like I said, when we are adults, that's not okay. It's not okay when we're children, let alone when we are adults. And well, especially when we're talking about children, it's important that it gets addressed. And that's why I also say, if you encounter this in a group with other people, then make sure to address this behavior. Hey, what's going on? Why did this happen? And talk about it. But someone basically telling you you shouldn't be here, while there's no good reason for you not to be there, especially when you have every right to be there, don't take that as truth, and don't let it define how you feel about yourself. So again, just let it sink in, write about it. Write it on your phone, write it by hand in a notebook, or go to an AI and just share what happened. But you want to just process what's going on. That already helps. So that's the first step. And the second one is, yes, sure, you can analyze your behavior. That's why it's so good to write things down or talk about it. And then really, instead of giving into those feelings, like, oh, it must be me, what are you telling yourself? And if you say it must be me, then I really want to encourage you to really take a hard look at what you are telling yourself. Because usually it must be me is the result of feeling powerless and not knowing what to do. So if certain things happen quite a lot and you tell yourself it must be me because you don't understand, it's time to get a better understanding. Talk to other people, analyze what's going on, and see what you can change, because that's maybe even the most important part. So the change doesn't necessarily have to be that you have to get up. It could also be an affirmation, or you confirm to yourself, I am good enough. And talking about those affirmations, repeating to yourself, I'm worth it, I'm good enough, is something I would recommend everyone to do. Do it being kind to others too. So don't feel yourself superior to someone else. Just feel like, hey, I'm here, I'm open, I'm respectful, I'll give you a smile, and I'm someone who tends to give people a smile, also people I don't know. So when this happens, it's weird. It's something I hardly experience, especially with strange people anymore. And when it happens in a setting where you actually do know the people, just think about it. What do they do when it comes to other people? And not just one party or one group, but also the other ones. Just observe. And more importantly, know where you stand. Know what you are doing. And again, be aware that you are good enough the way you are. You shouldn't have to change who you are. Now, if you are like, well, that sounds easy, Lexi, but you know, I do have a problem believing in myself. Well, then I have the perfect challenge for you. It's called the Rewrite Your Inner Story Challenge. In the description, it will tell you where to go. Click on it. It is like every day, I don't know, about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Every day is there for 3 days, so you've got a week to finish the challenge. And just see what really resonates with you. And take that part which resonates with you and start working with that part until you feel that you're getting stronger and stronger and you're more certain about yourself. And you will see that the moment that you get more comfortable with yourself, that other people will become more comfortable around you. And those that aren't, well, again, usually there's more to it. So be sure to talk to those people and address them. But if you already know what they're going to say, or they have said something to you which is totally inappropriate, don't even go there. Just let them sit with whatever they have said and know that you are good enough. So breathe through it, breathe in, and breathe out. Breathe in, release. Breathe in, and release. Get back to who you are. Get in touch with yourself. Talk to yourself. And be sure to take away that one thing that can make you stronger. Again, if you could use a little support when it comes to looking at yourself differently, because there are so many situations in life where people might actually approach you trying to get something from you, whether it's your confidence, your money, or something else. This is about you and your life. And like I said, you're worth it. So tell yourself so every day. Tell yourself, I'm good enough. Look at yourself in the mirror and just tell yourself, yes, I'm good enough. Close your eyes, just feel it. And send some love to yourself. Whether it's a smile, it's white light, it's putting your hands on your heart. Brendon Burchard actually has these challenges on his website. That's a whole different ballgame. But those work too. whatever works for you, just go there. If there's something that you want to share with others, post it here so we can all learn from one another. And I'll see you again next week. That one will be longer. Today was a short one. But again, this is about what we tell ourselves. And since it's progress over perfection, I decided to go out there, even if it was a short one. But I do believe this is a very important message. And again, if you waver, if you are not sure about yourself, check out the channel.